Transform thoughts, heal your world, inspire children's growth. Change starts today.
That. There's no easy answer for the person who's lost everything except get over the emotion. Because if you can't get over the emotion, you can't get past that problem. And justified or not, valid or not, the only person that those chemicals, those emotions are hurting are you. And it's dysregulating your autonomic nervous system. And people become addicted to the arousal of those emotions. And just like anything, you can have a bad trip or an overdose, and you could actually knock your brain and body out of balance just by thinking. Literally, you become addicted to your own thoughts. And the long-term effects of that push the genetic buttons that create disease.
So thinking influences our genetics, which could either create disease or could create healing.
That's exactly what we discovered. We discovered that if you teach a person how to stop thinking that way and producing those feelings, you're no longer weakening the body by your own thinking.
How weak are we making our bodies with low-level thinking? How much does it actually impact us biologically?
I don't know what low-level thinking is, but I can tell you that the emotions that are associated.
Not abundant thinking, stressed thinking.
Yeah,
anxiousness.
those emotions that you're feeling, like anger and aggression and frustration and impatience and fear and anxiety and resentment and jealousy and envy and insecurity, guilt and shame, hopelessness, powerlessness. All of those emotions are the emotions that are derived from the hormones of stress. The biological effects keep every cell in the body in an emergency mode.
Wow.
Every cell is squandering all of its energy for the threat or danger in its outer world. So keep that up for a period of time. There's no energy to heal. There's no energy to create. There's no energy for long-term building projects in the body, because when you're living in emergency, it's not a time to create. So the body begins to break down. So breaking that conditioning process and having a person sit with themselves for a period of time where they're not thinking about their cell phone or their TikTok or their social media or their texts, and they get beyond all the people in their life, all the things that they have to think about, all the places they need to go. If they could quiet down their brain and stop thinking in that way, after a period of time, their biology begins to change, and they naturally no longer activate those same hormonal centers that make them feel those emotions. And if they inhibit that, energy actually naturally moves into their heart. It just goes right up in there, and the heart's the creative center. And the heart, the moment energy moves into the heart, it starts beating orderly instead of disorderly. When it's in stress, it's resentment and impatience, it's beating disorderly. Now the heart can beat. Now it's got energy, and it begins to inform the brain. It resets the baseline in the chemical brain, the limbic brain. It tells the brain the trauma's over. Its past is over. And it tells the brain to create. Stop living in survival now, start creating. And the person starts thinking in different brainwave patterns. They're naturally creative. Turns out if you do that for a period of time, you can upregulate genes, just like you downregulated genes from feeling those other emotions. Trade those emotions for those elevated emotions, and you actually change your gene expression ahead of the environment. And if the environment signals the gene, and it does, and the end product of an experience in an environment is an emotion, and you're feeling that emotion, you're signaling genes ahead of your environment. And the body's literally changing in that moment. Do that for 7 days, and your body will look like it's living in a whole new environment.
Wow.
That's what our data shows.
Got dogs over here.
I'm excited too.
Who let the dogs out? I like it. Who let the dogs out? Who? We've got a few more minutes, but I want to share. We're going to share a video in a moment of the research that you've done and a documentary that you have in a moment. But there's one one or two final questions that I have.
I'll keep them short.
Yeah. How many of you, just raise your hand if you're a parent. Raise your hand if you're a parent. How much does our energy, either our thoughts and our energy, affect the genetic imprint of our children's as they grow up? Just our energy and way of being, our thinking, our words. How much of an imprint does it really have
Oof.
if we are living in that survival mode, stress, anxious, resentment, frustration, thinking?
Yeah.
Which I still don't know how much time in a day you're allowed to have that. How much percentage? Is it 10% of the day? Is it 50%?
It's whatever you want.
Right, exactly. But, where you can still be abundant, how much of us feeling stressed and anxious and, we're running late. We don't have the money. Your father, your mother. How much of that actually really hurts our kids in the world? It's just a layup question for you.
I think parenting is the fast track to enlightenment. I really do. And children have mirror neurons, and mirror neurons are empathy neurons. You can say to your kids, "Stop being an emotional basket case," and they'll observe your behavior. They observe behavior, and mirror neurons actually emulate behavior. They model behavior. So then, if you're telling your 1-year-old while it's running around the house, "Stop that," once it starts walking, "Don't do that, and put that down," and they turn 2, you're going to say something to them, and they're going to say, "No." They learned that from you.
Yeah.
A lioness who's teaching her cubs to hunt, she doesn't say, "Okay, I got a game plan, huddle up, you go this way, you go." She doesn't do that. She says, "Watch me." And those cubs are already bonded to her, and she's stealth, and she's patient, and she's watching. And the cubs, the neurons in their brain that are firing are the same neurons in the mother. The mother's priming their brain for the behavior
Wow.
through mirror neurons, and they will behave that way. And children, the very first 6 or 7 years of their life, their brain waves are in very low brainwave states, delta and theta and low-level alpha, and there's no editor. There's no door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. All the information that they're getting in is getting in unedited. It's big boys don't cry, little girls should be seen and not heard, whatever that is, you understand. That's the information that's going in that's actually programming them into certain beliefs about themselves and about reality. And so when a child is observing a person living in stress and living in survival, they will in time begin to produce the same emotions that are created from watching their parents go through the same trauma, the same event or perception of life in itself. And so then now it takes a little work for that person then to make the change either on their own or when the family changes. And so then when one person can change in the family, it allows other people to change in the family.
Yes.
You don't have to go back into your life and say, you need to be less addicted to emotions, and you need to stop signaling the same genes in the same way. You need to stop making your heart incoherent. That's not good for you. That's not what people need. They need for you to show up as the example.
Yes.
You got to walk into your life back from this event in the state of greatness. And whatever that model is for you, you got to show them what it looks like. I guarantee you do that. They'll want to know what you know. The teaching is not what you're saying any longer. It's who you are, right? Something's different. And so with children, they are the fast track to enlightenment, and they model behaviors. So if you want to teach your kids how to be more emotionally intelligent, which I think is the best thing you can teach them, how to shorten their emotional responses to certain people and certain things. Teach them that by doing it with them. By doing it with them, I guarantee you'll have a buddy for life.
Wow.
So in three-dimensional reality, our senses plug us into that reality. Take away your sight, take away your hearing, take away your smell, take away your taste, take away your feeling with your body. You would have no experience of three-dimensional reality, but yet it could still exist. But you're unaware of it.